You know that question that kind of creeps up on you? Maybe it's late at night or you're just stuck in traffic and it hits you. What is all this for? What's the point? Well, today we're going to dig into that and explore some really powerful ways to think about it. Think back to when you were a kid. Life was simple, right? A single piece of candy could be the best thing that happened all day. You'd fall, cry for a minute, and be laughing the next. But then you become an adult, and something shifts. You can have all the candy in the world, and it still tastes a little bitter. We start laughing to keep from crying. The job, the mortgage, taking care of family, it all gets so heavy it can feel like you can barely breathe. And all that weight, all that pressure, it usually leads us right back to this one fundamental question. I mean, let's be honest. We all know how this ends. Every single one of us is on a one-way trip. So if the destination is exactly the same for everybody, what's the journey all about? What are we actually living for? To even begin to answer that, we have to talk about this huge trap that so many of us fall into, the societal checklist. It's this idea that we're all living our lives based on a script that we didn't even write. There's this fantastic Oscar-winning short film called 1 Minute Fly that illustrates this perfectly. So this fly is born, and the first thing it sees is a countdown timer on its own head. It has exactly 60 seconds to live, but that's not all it finds. The fly also finds this huge to-do list of things it has to accomplish. So with that clock ticking down, it just frantically rushes around. It stings a raccoon, goes to a party, gets married, has a bunch of kids, all in a few seconds. It has no time to actually feel or process a single thing. It just has to check off the boxes. It's so absurd that even experienced despair is on the list. Just another task to complete before time runs out. And that right there is the whole point. The fly's entire 1-minute existence was this mad dash to finish a list somebody else wrote for it. Now, let's bring it back to us. Graduates, get a good job, get married, buy a house, have 2.5 kids. Does that checklist sound kind of familiar? The real question is, how much of that is what we truly want, and how much is just what we think we're supposed to want? Okay, so if we decide to just throw out that checklist, then what's left? Well, this next idea might sound a little strange at first, but stick with me, because it is incredibly powerful. It's about finding freedom in realizing that, in the grand scheme of things, we're not all that important. There's this anecdote about a 52-year-old manager who died completely out of the blue from a stroke. For his wife and kids, their world just ended. The grief was just bottomless. They planned the funeral, and of course, all his friends and coworkers came to pay their respects. But a really strange thing happened at the wake. After everyone gave their condolences, people just kept on living. They were smiling, catching up with each other. Some people even started playing cards. You could hear laughter coming from the kitchen. It was less like a wake and more like a family reunion. The man who was supposed to be the reason they were all there, he was barely mentioned. And this points to a really jarring but important truth. To almost everyone in the world, our life and our death, they aren't major events. We feel like we're the main character, right? But to everyone else, we're just a background character in their story. Your passing becomes just an excuse for them to get together. I know what you're thinking. That sounds incredibly depressing. But what if it's not? What if it's the most liberating thought you could ever have? Because if nobody's really watching that closely, it means you're free. You're free to try things and fail. Free to change your entire life path. Free to be your authentic self without that crushing fear of judgment. Because honestly, most people are way too worried about their own lives to spend much time judging yours. All right, so we've ripped up the societal checklist. We've embraced our own liberating insignificance. So now what? Where do we find this meaning we're all looking for? Well, the answer might be way, way closer than you think. In fact, we might be looking in all the wrong places. There's this great little parable about a young fish. This fish is on a mission. It's determined. It swims all over the place, asking everyone it meets the same question, until finally, it swims up to a wise old fish to declare its grand quest. The old fish just looks at him, totally confused, and says, "The ocean? But you're in it. This is the ocean." The young fish just kind of scoffs and says, This? This is just water. I'm looking for the ocean." And it swims off, still searching. And aren't we all a bit like that little fish, spending our entire lives chasing this big abstract concept called meaning, completely missing the fact that we're already swimming in it? This is driven home by the work of a palliative care nurse named Bronnie Ware. She kept a record of the most common regrets her patients had on their deathbeds. Look at this list, and look at number 1. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. There it is again, the societal checklist. None of these regrets are about failing to find the ocean. They're all about not appreciating the water they were swimming in, not expressing love, not making time for friends, not just letting themselves be happy. So here's the big takeaway. Meaning isn't some prize you get at the end of the game. It's not a destination you arrive at. It's just the collection of experiences you have along the way. It's the boring Tuesday nights and the coffee with a friend and watching a sunset. The meaning of life is living. And that brings us to our last idea. And it might be the most powerful one of all. If life is all about the experience, then what do we actually own when it's all said and done? The story goes like this. A man passes away, and he sees Buddha walking toward him carrying a box. The man is curious, so he asks, "What's in the box?" Buddha just smiles and says, "Your belongings." The man is thrilled. He starts thinking about his house, his car, all his prized possessions. He asks, "Is it my money? My property?" And Buddha shakes his head. "No, those were never yours. They belong to the world." Okay. The man's a little confused, but he tries again. "Is it my memories then?" And Buddha replies, "No, those belong to time." The man's getting desperate now. "Then it has to be my body. That was mine." Buddha calmly answers, "No, your body belongs to the dust." Finally, with tears in his eyes, the man asks, "So, have I ever truly owned anything at all?" He opens the box and sees that it's completely empty. And Buddha says, "Yes, every single moment that you truly lived, that is yours and only yours. The things we chase, the status, the stuff, even the memories, it's all temporary. None of it really belongs to us. The only thing we ever truly possess is the present moment, our experience of being alive, right now." That societal checklist is just a suggestion. Your real list, it's a blank page. The only question left is, what are you going to write on it?